Hey, Miami Dolphins already making a lot of roster moves. Jaylen Waddle gone. There's a new quarterback. Obviously, we know that. The roster's looking completely different. People are wondering, so now what's the plan? Is the reset, completely new direction? But we're breaking it all down. Nobody better with senior NFL writer and Football Hall of Fame voter. You know him from the Herald for many years here covering the Dolphins, and now currently from OutKick and Fox Sports. Armando Salguero, friend of the program, been on a few times. Well, let's just get into it. Of course, I have my co-host and co-pilot as always, Jason Sarney. Good evening, fellas. Thank you guys. Armando, thank you for joining.
No, dude, it's my pleasure. Sorry I couldn't get on here earlier. It's been a little busy.
It's okay. Yeah, a little bit. So, not a bad time to have you on, huh? We picked a pretty good time. Dolphins been a little busy, huh?
Yeah, I mean they've done some major work. Look, I'm gonna say something right off the top if I can.
Go for it.
Then you guys.
Yeah.
If the Miami Dolphins, if you tell me that they have signed the people that they have signed, where's my list? Malik Willis, Zane Gonzalez, Lonnie Johnson, all these guys, all of them.
Yeah.
Tutu Atwell, who I really like because he's from Miami, but aside from that, I really like him. Sailor, all these guys. If you told me they went out and had a free agency where they signed all these guys, plus all the other guys that they added, the Charlie Heck, the Ben Sims, the Ojabo, all those guys, and didn't get rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, didn't get rid of Jaylen Waddle, didn't get rid of, all the other guys, Bradley Chubb, I would tell you this is going to be a good team. This is going to be a pretty good team because they added a bunch of depth. They added like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 or 8 starters for 2026 by my count. Maybe actually 9. I forgot Malik Willis. But they got rid of a lot of talent. So that's my problem. They are a team that now has a bunch of what obviously would be otherwise depth guys who are now kind of pushed to, you're going to start for us and you're going to play a lot. And, I like Josh Uche. Great for him. Awesome. But I don't like him more than I like Bradley Chubb. Right? I mean, come on now. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah. Everybody's down on what the Dolphins have done in free agency because obviously it's reset/rebuild time. And these guys are all mostly one-year contracts. And they're mostly, a lot of games, a lot of experience, but not as starters. A lot of guys that have been on 3 teams in 4 years. When you start to see stuff like that, that person is a backup. And that's what they've gotten mostly. And they're going to push those guys to starting spots.
Well, I think it's going to breed some competition, which I think is a good thing, Armando. So competition development, that's what I'm looking for specifically in 2026. But let's get into it. I know it's March Madness on a basketball sense, but the Dolphins have been doing some madness the last couple of days, and they traded Jaylen Waddle. Did you see that coming? What are your thoughts on that move?
So I get it. It had to happen. They got good return for him, very good return for him, I would say. Unfortunately for me, I was there when they went and got Jaylen Waddle, and I thought that was a massive overpay by Chris Grier. And we're not judging Chris Grier today. Obviously, he's been judged.
We've done a lot of that.
and found wanting, right?
Yeah.
So we know that didn't, because let's face it, if the Miami Dolphins in that draft had done what a normal team does after they traded away the number 3 overall pick, they could have not done that and come away with Jamar Chase. Oh boy. Or they could have done that, not come back up, giving up an extra first rounder and and come away with Devonta Smith, who's just as good and productive. Maybe he's not as explosive, but just as productive as Jaylen Waddle has been. So I have a little hard time with that. But from what happened based on this trade by this administration, I got no problems with it. I understand where they're coming from. I'm sure Malik Willis doesn't love it because it sure didn't help him. And I'm sure you guys want to talk about that thing, but I mean, they're not helping him at all doing that.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I remember watching, I think it was it somebody's pro day? Wasn't Zach? I don't think was it Zach Wilson? I don't know. I remember when that trade happened at a pro day. I remember I was like, wow, I love that move. 3-12. My heart got broken 45 minutes later when they went up to 6. I'll never forget that. I was like, and you're right. I think Devontae went 10. They could have just moved up 12 to 10 and just, you're right. Or just take the franchise player. But I agree with you. You talked about Malik, right? So let's go there. Let's go with Malik. What do you think of the fit here? But also in terms of, do you think it was a little bit of a mistake? The only downside I see is, look, Malik's on a 2-year trial with this contract. Do you think it was smart here? A, the value was too good, or we should have given Malik the best chance to see what he really has? You know, let's go this first year because, again, they're still going to be looking for a quarterback.
Right. As far as the value, the Dolphins paid more than anybody else was offering. Okay. The Arizona Cardinals also wanted Malik Willis, and we're offering, I believe, $2 million less.
Okay, I didn't know that. It's great info.
So I mean, the value is good, but he took the best contract that he could from the people that he knew, and where he knew that he was going to get, a great opportunity. And I honestly don't see the competition that they wanted to have, because I don't think Quinn Ewers is going to win that job. And so, especially when you're paying Malik Willis what you're paying Malik Willis. I have said it, and I'm going to be straight and honest with you because I cannot help myself. If you're saying that Malik Willis is coming here and it's no risk and high reward because maybe he's going to be good, then you have to put people around him to be good. A quarterback cannot be good unless he's got friends. And the Dolphins just traded his best friend, their best wide receiver. So how is he going to be good in 2026? How is he going to get a chance to be good when maybe you add a rookie receiver to the room who is going to learn how to, tie his shoes? And because wide receivers don't just, show up and ball out. When his wide receivers are Tutu Atwell and Malik Washington, how does that help Malik Willis? So it doesn't jive for me. The whole, we're going to pick him and see if he's good. Well, you just made him worse by getting rid of, his best wide receiver. And, oh, by the way, can you help him with a tight end? Because I like Greg Dulcich, right? But I don't love Greg Dulcich, right? And I love me some tight ends.
Yeah, you do love it. What is your famous line? Who catches touchdowns?
We got to the red zone. In the red zone.
That's you. Right? That's you, Mondo.
Because they are abusive in the red zone. They are a matchup problem. Safeties aren't fast enough to be with them. Corners aren't big enough to be with them. Linebackers are big enough, but they're not fast enough to cover them. A tight end is a pain in the ass in the red zone, and that's why good teams have good tight ends typically. But so that's my whole problem with the Malik Willis versus everything else that you're doing. The narrative is we're not tanking. We got Malik Willis. Well, yeah, but just because you got a guy that started 6 games and went 3-3 in those 6 games with relatively good teams, that doesn't mean that you're giving him a very great chance to succeed. What you're doing is you're putting him out there and turning him into a bridge. And if that's what it is, then I get that. I accept bridge, but you don't pay $22 million a year for a bridge quarterback.
You know what I called him? I call him a franchise quarterback. He's the bridge quarterback, but he has franchise upside. He has franchise. I think, to be fair, he's the only one. I know. So I call him the franchise quarterback, a bridge with the potential. I think. See, I look at it as I think more important for me, they got to hit in the picks more than Malik Willis working out. They got to hit in the draft picks, but I couldn't agree with you more. It gets a little confusing, right? You bring him in, it's almost a 2-year deal, but then you take away the weapons. So I get it. It's kind of confusing what the plan is. But go ahead, Jason.
Adam Schefter today reported that Dolphins have been getting calls on Achane, but he kind of put the kibosh on the fact that the Dolphins do not want to deal him. Is that basically we're not getting enough value on a potential deal? What are your thoughts on Achane? Do you think that if the right deal comes knocking along, will John Eric Sullivan pull the plug, or is Achane here to stay?
That report was terrible news for the Miami Dolphins.
Ooh.
Terrible news. And this is the reason that it's terrible news. If the team leaked it, which I don't think they did because it's bad news for the team, what you're telling the league is that Devon Achane is untouchable. If I'm Devon Achane's agent and I'm reading my guy is untouchable, my price just went up in a contract because my guy's untouchable. You just don't want to. You got rid of Jaylen Waddle and Bradley Chubb and Tua Tagovailoa and Minka Fitzpatrick and Pepe Tolete and everybody else. But, bro, you don't want to touch Devon Achane. This guy needs to get paid. And that's bad news for the team because that means now he's in the Jamar Gibbs and the Bijan Robinson stratosphere, at least to start.
That James Cook stratosphere is gone. That James Cook, what he left behind.
Exactly. It doesn't help the team. For that reason, it felt like more of an agent-driven leak because I don't think the Dolphins are that dumb. They cannot be that dumb to drive up a price on their own guy because that doesn't suggest the team should come to you and start bidding. That report doesn't suggest that. That suggests we're closed. We're not open for business. So that's what I make of that report. And I really like Devon Achane. I think he's really good.
And he's young, too. He's still 24. There's some guys in this draft that are older than him.
Yes, I really like him. But it's going to be great. It's the Malik and Devon show and Tutu Atwell every once in a while. Deep. What the Dolphins offense looks like at this stage. Obviously, there's a draft to be had.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat. They're loving you, Mondo. There's so many people in here. Thank you, guys. Make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up, help support us. Mondo, I want to ask you, you talked about Achane. You think there's no – if a team – let's say the Seattle offers you 32-64. You think he's off? They're not doing anything. They're not it's not like Denver who said, hey, I'd rather have Jaylen Waddle than Cooper or Surratt at number 30. You know what I mean? The Seahawks I'd rather have Achane than Jahardy and Price out of Notre Dame. Do you think it's they want to keep him, or if the right price is there, that wasn't like a saying, hey, they're not getting what they want and up the ante?
Right. So it depends on what Sullivan thinks of himself. Yeah. If he's confident and he looks at his board and he thinks I can get a better player at number 32 and he's going to be on a rookie contract for the next, 3.5, 4 years, I'm going with that. But if he looks at his board and he goes that we can't find, somebody of that caliber that late, then he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And he's going to they're going to have a lot of cap space next year, from what I understand, right?
A lot, yeah.
So, okay, you got to spend it on somebody. And I think that Devon is a viable candidate for that. But there are others, as you know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
No, to follow up on that, do you think that there's actually a chance that, let's say they extend him, right, and they give him his money? Does that necessarily prove that he's off the market, or would that actually be more of an enticing scenario come draft day, or even after, if they're 1-4 or 5 and it's a trade deadline deal, to at least get better capital because you're giving another team a contracted control for 3 or 4 years? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, guys, look at this roster. I don't believe that there should be anybody on this roster whose name you go, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, I was covering the team when Don Shula took calls on Dan Marino. Dan Marino! Okay? And he listened. So,
imagine if we had Twitter back then, Armando. Imagine if we had
crazy. That would have been crazy. So I'm sorry, Mr. Brewer. I'm sorry, Jordan Brooks. I'm going to listen if somebody calls me. I'm sorry, Devon. I'm going to listen because there's nobody on this roster that suggests to me Dan Marino. Okay? That doesn't mean that they should pull the trigger, but it doesn't hurt to listen. Nobody on this roster is going to be upset that they are the talk of possible trades. Nobody. Okay, so you got to do your due diligence, in my estimation.
Agreed. So, when you look at this, what do you think? When you look, we talked about all the moves. What do you think the plan is really for 26? Are they just trying to balance the fine line between the reset and staying competitive? Because we talked about that hard part. Figure out, if you had to guess, what is their plan here? Because it gets confusing with Malik. Is it? I think they're trying to kind of toe that line of, we're not tanking. We're going to try to be competitive, and we're going to rebuild the roster with a lot of draft picks. Is that kind of what you see?
Yeah, they're going to try to be competitive. I don't think they're going to be that competitive. Like we just talked about, they got they just added a lot of backups, and a lot of them, some of them are going to start. When you're starting backups, that doesn't mean you have depth. That means your front line is not that strong. So I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going, oh my God, the Miami Dolphins. I don't think that the New England Patriots are going, the Miami Dolphins. And certainly the Denver Broncos are not doing that. Okay. And so let's just call it what it is. Yeah. This is a team that it's development and the payoff, if it goes according to plan, if they hit on a majority of their picks, and by hit, I mean, you got players that matter, that make a difference, that make the other team concerned, and they have to, game plan for them. If you do that, then, they're 2 years out. They're 2.5 years out. Yeah. Which is fine. Of course, if you're a fan since, anywhere 2000 or earlier, it's not so fine because it's another year where your team is not going to win a playoff game, and they have the longest drought of playoff wins in the NFL, and that's going to be extended this year.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. They chose to do the reset. I just don't like the narratives from media that go, oh, resets are good. No, they're not. They're painful. Let's be honest with everybody. Resets are painful. The reason that you're resetting again is because you failed again. Right?
It's the easy way out. It's actually the easy way.
It's the necessary way. And you got to do it. And I understand it, but it's going to be painful. I can understand. Look, in October, November, December, it's going to hurt. Simple as that. Now, if you're talking October, November, December 2027, 2028, and it still hurts, then you messed up.
Correct.
Well, this is basically like take 4 in the last 15 years of a reset rebuild. So, hopefully the brand new regime. And the good thing about this, Armando, I know we got to get you out of here, but this is a clean slate. So going into the draft, we have no clue what John Eric Sullivan's vision is. We could look back at what Green Bay has done in his tenure there as being in the room, but at least there's a level of we don't know, So I'm excited for the draft from that standpoint. Are you looking forward to seeing what Sullivan could do?
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 first-round picks. You own the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Go to work, my brother. Let's see. This is your time. This is your Super Bowl, Jess, because you're not going to the real Super Bowl. This is it. Go get them.
Yeah.
And look, I don't say that mockingly. I really don't. Guys, I'm from Miami. I've always wanted the Dolphins to succeed. When I was covering the Dolphins on a daily basis, it was in my favor if they did well. Unfortunately, they didn't often enough do well. That was a problem. And so I want them to succeed. I really do. But for anyone to say this is a 9-10 win team, that I find that hard to believe. And that even though, by the way, I'm going to say something that is counterintuitive. A lot of NFL teams, when they reset, they're better in the first year of the reset than the second year.
We've seen that down here.
You've seen it down here.
Yeah.
Adam Gase went to the playoffs in his first year. They won 10 games. And then you saw, right?
Giants. I think the Giants happened with the Giants with Dable and
exactly. The best coaching job that Brian Flores did was in 2019. They sucked. They had a AAA roster and they got better, man. He did great. And then after that, he went like this as a coach, because the ego set in and we got bad guy Brian Flores as opposed to brilliant coach Brian Flores.
Yeah.
His last, I would say, 2 years.
Another chapter in the Dolphins book of
Joe Philbin's best year was his first year.
Oh,
Tony Sperano won the division in his first year.
I like Sperano. I love
Sperano. Sperano was great.
I love Tony. Rest in peace, Tony. I love,
it got harder after that first year. They went from 1-15 to, I think, was it 11 wins? They won 11 games.
They beat the Jets to make the
Daddy makes a great first year. Teams have no idea. It's like a pitcher. When they call up that pitcher in AAA, that first round of the batters, the first 3 innings, oh my, shut up. As soon as the second time, boom, boom, boom. It's 6-0. So
yeah. Exactly. And then they get figured out.
Yeah.
Right? Daniel got figured out.
By the way, it happens with quarterbacks too. It happens with young quarterbacks. They have a little success. They're like a little bit below average. Everybody says, oh, this is the guy, Will Levis. And then they get figured out and they find out who you really are, So, man, I agree with you, Mondo. It's been great. They got the draft's going to be fun. I said they got the ammunition. They got to hit their target. It's the most important thing. Not even if Malik works out, draft picks, hitting on that in the most important thing. All right, Armando, on the way out, we thank you so much. Anything you want to plug, what you got going on OutKick or anything like that?
No, man, I don't, we're good. I appreciate you guys hitting me up. It's my pleasure to always, be with you guys and connect with Dolphin fans. Understand, I bleed for you. I really do from afar. Yeah. From afar.
We got a little hope. The hopium is returned. We got a refreshment. We hit refresh on the hopium. Happens every 4 or 5 years.
I hope it works out. I really do. But I'm going to the Super Bowl.
Regardless, right?
Again. And I don't think I'll see you guys.
Yeah, I don't think so. All All right, Armando. Thanks. I know you had to get out of here. We appreciate you so much. Jason and I will stay on with you guys for a few minutes. Take care, Armando. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Armando. Be well.
All right, man. See ya.
Appreciate you.
All right. That was the great
stuff.
Armando Salguero. There were some nuggets in there.
Hey, listen.
I didn't know Arizona.
Got a numerical figure.
Yeah, we got to know. There was reports $30 million a year. He actually took the highest. We were the highest bidder. Yeah. He said $2 million, and that was great. Yeah. I thought that was great from Armando. Armando's great. I loved him. Armando was fantastic when he covered this team. Make sure you guys follow him on OutKick and all those things, guys. The chat. This was a interview. Thank you guys so much. We're going to talk. We're going to stay on preview a little bit. What we're doing tomorrow. Yeah, we got a couple minutes. We'll answer some questions in the chat. I hope you guys liked Armando. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Let's get that 3,000 goal. Let's give away the hats. Let's give away the Dolphins draft cap. Do a quick mock. We'll do a mock draft tomorrow.
We're going to preview that. We'll preview that. But real quick on Armando, Armando's one of my favorite people in this industry. I've had a lucky opportunity to a couple of times been in the Dolphins press room. And, I like to say hi to anyone that I've either admired or know. And some people do the bare minimum and just hi. Armando, it was like seeing a friend from high school. So kind, so nice, answered questions, was extremely inviting. One of the best people that I've come across in this media game. Always will appreciate Armando Salguero. So thanks, Armando, and appreciate you, my dude.
Yeah, I had growing up picking up that Miami Herald. I made you myself a little bit. Picking up the Miami Herald outside, cup of OJ, reading the Herald, Armando's article. I wish I can go back to that. It was great. I mean, I love Twitter and X. We get 24-hour instant information, but that was the purity of my time looking for the draft, looking for his articles, what they were doing, free agency, the moves. He would spoil all the draft picks in the first round. His articles are great. Him and Dave Hyde, and we've had both of them on, are two of my favorites that covered it down here. So thanks, Armando, to get into that. But tomorrow, I'm grinding on the wide receiver player cards. They're back, baby. We're doing wide receivers. We'll probably have about 12 for you guys, and it's a great position to be talking about right now. I know a lot of mocks now doing 11 and 30. They're doing. I see them all on Twitter though, Sarney.
There were a couple out there.
We'll do a mock tomorrow. What do you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll drop a mock. We'll try to probably keep it clean this mock. You know what I mean? Or who knows? When me and Jason get our hands on a mock, you never know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Get the tables.
When we get take lemon.
I don't know about that retiring. I might. I don't know.
It's a wide receiver player card. Here's what I want to say. We'll have our final draft, what we think they should do. Some of these are just like we're playing the strategy out. It's more of our knowledge of the players and getting you guys all the scenarios to get you educated and have fun with it more than because if I'm being honest, there's like 6, 7 guys they're so close. I mean, you change your mind daily. I'm sure Jason does too. Like, I like this guy. Like, you know what I mean? So you change.
Last night was one of those.
Yeah,
last
it was
night
great.
was a tough, great draft. It was great. Had some fun
because those conversations me and you have, they have in the war room. I don't think you get that anywhere
100%.
else. That's me.
That's me.
People can try to steal the ideas, but
I'll tell you this much about the wide receivers. If you look at every wide receiver draft, very much recently, the boards are the boards, the mock drafts.
Hey, they want more arguments, Sonny.
But we'll give it to you. We'll give you the arguments, Mario.
I'm taking it on the chin because I'm trying to debate, and I'm just taking it. The channels is it's because I want to debate. If not, if I say probably a lot of times me and Sarni agree, and we'll just take the guy in 5 seconds. So yeah, I'm glad you guys see that. Take BPA. Go ahead, Jason.
No, but like what I was saying, like receivers, you look at mock drafts and you're like, oh, this guy's going to be the next receiver chosen. Oh, this guy's going to be the next receiver chosen. It's what teams see and the type of receiver that they want. Not all receivers are created equal, whether it's speed versus tall, whether it's physicality versus crisp route running,
you want
run
after
the catch, you want contested catch.
You want red zone targets. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the Dolphins, I know what people are saying with drafting 2, you can get a little bit of both. Absolutely.
Well, they're definitely going to draft.
I think they're definitely going to go double up.
Wait, we got to go back to our BPA draft. We had it right. We drafted 2 receivers.
Hey, listen, I have no problem.
Now, actually.
There's a couple of positions that I have no problem doubling up on. Receiver,
offensive line
as a whole, and cornerback. 100%. And I'll even give you another one. If you in the top 94, I was just going to say, in the top 94, if you want to get a pass rusher, get a pass rusher. But day 3, get an edge setter, get a run stopping defensive end edge guy who could absolutely handle his business.
Spoiler:
Harry Spears from Florida. There's a guy that I love who could be a day 3 steal. Who's a run.
I'm going to tell you a guy I like, the Michigan kid, Derek Moore's teammate, Barman. He's really good. A guy we never take because he's small is Emilio Hype, but man, that guy gets after the quarterback. But so that's going to be interesting. It did change. I think we found out last night as we were doing it that extra 2 picks really kind of changed our thinking. We did it the first. We're like, whoa, okay, this is interesting. There's like 5 guys we'd be okay with, right? Like I think that happened live to us.
The thing is, it's not only a benefit; it's also a good dilemma. It's
Absolutely.
What do we do? It's a really good dilemma.
Great problem to have. Too many picks. Great problem.
Nothing wrong with too many picks, but that's why I think that yes, BPA. Everyone's screaming it. I get it. But in
Jason's
this particular,
you're gonna convince him on that.
I get it.
Yeah.
But draft to draft every year, there are different classes that you could be able to find a guy a round or 2 later. So if yes, the best player on the draft is a cornerback who's 6 foot or 5'11", but it means we're going to miss out on a guard, miss out on a tackle. Now, can you find that guard or tackle 40 picks, 20 picks down the line? Maybe not, but can you find a better system fit at cornerback for Jeff Hafley? Jeff Hafley loves safeties. So do you want to take the best safety available, or do you want to trust his assessment in what he wants from a safety? Maybe, he wants a certain type of a free safety to be a guy who can cover deep, but also be able to step up in the box and cover the run. Not every safety is equal to that. There's a safety who could literally be just a nickel, So we don't know what Hafley and Sullivan are going to really want in these best player available situations. Like that's why I keep on preaching best player available of need, because of need isn't the team. It's what the coaches want. It's what the guys want.
In fairness, teams make their board with a slight lean on their needs, right? They stack it. But I think the difference is how much of a gap, like you mentioned your scenario, this player versus the guard. If the gap is too big, you go with the other guy. But if it's really close, then you might go like now wide receiver. I don't know whether first, second, third round. Now, if it's really close, that wide receiver kind of jumps up on the board. That's how it's done. I always say draft multiple players at the strength of the draft because you're going to get value. I remember when we drafted Jarvis Landry. That was a heck of a wide receiver draft.
Great.
You draft guys in that slot because you're getting a guy normally you'd have to probably spend a round earlier, a half a round earlier. Always draft to the strength. And good news, people, I mentioned it on Twitter, I mentioned it on the show, people kind of hating on the draft, outside of quarterback, outside of running back, offensive tackle, really good depth. I like it. Guard, really good depth. We didn't mention that. I know retiring says he wants to do the wide receiver 11 thing, but the only plus in that is you're going to get a good alignment at 30. Like a Hanachor, Miller, even a Basantis, there's good depth. Now, is he as good as Vega? No. Are they as good as Mark? No. That's the difference. That's what you got to ask yourself. That's what Jason's saying. You got to ask this player X versus this player, how much is the gap? How much is the gap of the receiver you take versus the next tier of receivers at 30 or 43? But always draft multiples on the strength of the draft.
100%. And George and I spoke about this on our little pre-show before we went live with Armando, that, it's a situation where, if you look at 11 and 30, you don't necessarily have to draft a wide receiver because they just traded Waddle and they're running with Tutu Atwell and Jalen Tolbert. If you look at 43 to 90, there's 4 picks there where you could hypothetically and at the same time
Get
realistically get 2.
Yeah,
exactly. So you're also, and this is what we actually really spoke about in depth, is that we're trying to jump into the heads. I'm really focused on trying to guess what these guys have said. John Eric Sullivan, Halfley, that they're building from the inside out. That tells me one of those first 2 picks will be a trench player.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if one of those first 2 picks are not trench.
It wouldn't bother me at all if they go dual trench, offense, defense with 11 and 30, whatever which way that they slice it. Which means maybe they go with if they can get a Reuben Bain at 11. Hypothetically, and then at 30, you draft either my guy Max Ahanichor or Blake Miller, George's guy. So you're checking the box on the inside out,
and they're close, but they're close. They're either one of those guys. They're close. One is a floor guy, and one is a ceiling guy, right?
Then at 11, then to finish the thought, at 43, 75, 87, 90, can you squeeze in your defensive backs, your edges, and your wide receivers there? Absolutely. And then, not to mention, you still got 5 picks left. So that's why you got to take all these picks and not look at just the 11th, just the 30th. You got to look at the lifeblood and the whole entirety of the draft.
Let me give you another position that's really good, linebacker. Like, I know we might not, but like if you see a Golday or Anthony Hill and you're like, what? No, man, they're really good. Like that could be a position where like, oh, we didn't anticipate that, right? Like, but they might think those guys are, what's their deal on Brooks? Long term, what's Tyrell Dotson's not a guy who's going to keep you from signing up. So there's really good players there. I think at 30, it is a cleaner field doing a mock, not taking the lineman at 11. The field and taking one at 30, it's a cleaner look doing the mock. But if Moaga, if Vega, I know people are down on Fanu. I'm telling you, man, that video's coming out. I'm not down on him. Some guys, DJ has him rated before those 2 guys. DJ has Fano ahead of Vega and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sarni and Mawioga. So, if those 3 guys are there, that's tough to pass up on those guys. I got to admit, as much as I wanted to debate for the sake of the show, I got to admit it's going to be very, very tough. And people who say taking a guard that early, I know I looked up Green Bay hasn't taken one in a while, but we don't know their trends.
Correct.
Next year, Jason and I promise you we're going to have a better idea, a feel of what they're doing. But guess what? Tyler Booker went 12th overall last year. So you can take a guard that early.
Look, if you want to talk about best player available at 11, the best football player available with no questions could very well be Vega Ioane. If you're looking at a no risk,
clean,
kind of a clean
him
player.
or Delane, I think are the 2 cleanest. At that spot. You agree? Like clean, safe. I could see them being their first pick. Remember, this is the first pick of this regime. Keep that in mind. That's a statement pick, right? It means something. This is a blank guy. This is a blank. Did Greer has left the building? Well, Greer had a lot of picks. It's what you do with it. I want Vega at 11. Who else? Anthony Hill Jr. at 30 would be amazing. This is a blank state. No real idea what they want. Agreed. We talked about it backstage. Like, we got to be careful because we're trying hard to project what they want. And I think the real key to this whole thing is we're just going to go through the players and evaluate them and educate you guys the best and go through scenarios and then realistically what we think they'll do. And at the end of the day, we'll have fun. We'll have different scenarios. But our final mock, right? That's going to be one we don't play around. That'll be, probably the week of the draft. This is what we think they should do. No playing around, no scenarios. But scenarios are fun, man. You know what I mean? And we have fun with them. I want to talk about on the way out here. Because the plan, I know people talk about draft picks, Malik. And when I said this on the show, I mean it. The draft picks here are more important than actually hitting on Malik Willis. I think it's more important.
Of course.
Now, if you hit Malik, it speeds up the plan. Perfect. But you didn't use high money. You didn't use premium draft pick. This is why I like what the Dolphins are doing. You look at the accumulation of draft picks. They have a chance to build this the right way. But the key, man, is nailing the draft starting on April 26, 27, whatever it is. Now we're talking, they took a swing at a quarterback. If it doesn't work out, don't blame this regime. If it doesn't work out and they miss on the draft picks, blame on the regime. But if they hit on everything Wow, you come out of this draft, whoa, 5 guys impactful. Whether Malik works out, they took a swing at the position that they haven't done in a long time. You got to take as many swings as you can, and that's what they're doing. And I think they'll draft another quarterback in the 3rd day this year. And if it doesn't, and probably they're looking at 27 in draft 1. Don't blame them as long as they hit on their draft pick, Sarnie. To me, I just wanted to make that point. That's the most important. Yeah,
and,
I don't think we stated that on the show, but like that's the important.
I mean, it
part.
goes without saying, of course.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
They signed. Go ahead, George.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
They signed over a dozen one-year players. 3 of them might be re-signed for 2027 and beyond. So the fact of getting 7, 8 of these 11 picks at the moment right, it's huge because you're going to have rookie contracts of 4 years, and 2 of them could have a 5th-year option at the moment with those first rounders. So this is one of the biggest, most important drafts, obviously, in franchise history. The last time they've had this many picks in the top 100, 2 times I could remember. Obviously, everybody remembers the disaster of 2020. And 1997, obviously the first rounder in Teal Green didn't work out, but they found Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. Jimmy Johnson did.
But what happened in those rounds? They had multiple. You remember when they took Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? They took Dorian Brew right before him. I'll never forget that. They didn't. And what I loved about Jimmy, the Surtain pick, didn't he trade a 98 first to get to that second line with?
He did a lot of trading. Yeah, he did a lot of movement.
If I remember this correctly, I don't know how or why, they traded with Carolina and moved up in the second round and traded a first-round pick the next year. Anyway, we can find that out, Sarnie. Or no, let me look. I'm
might be a little crazy right now. I think there was some movement. Jimmy did. Obviously, he did a lot of movement in his history. So it's a little bit way back to remember the specific trades, though.
Oh, see, when you pull it up, it goes. They took him in the second round of the. Oh, they took him in the second round of the '98 draft, Surtain.
Yeah, Madison was before '97.
Yeah. They took him in the 98 draft. I just wanted to see what they traded for him real quick, but it doesn't show up because of his son is and it brings up the Chiefs trade. Whatever. Oh, I'm correct. Thank you. Thoughts on Drew Shelton? Like Drew Shelton, round 4, round 5, the Penn State tackle, good player. I know my buddy Lo-Fi really likes Drew Shelton, but you're correct. Thank you, Garrett. Appreciate everybody, man. This was supposed to be a quick live. We'll be live tomorrow. I'm working to get these player wide receiver cards. We'll break that down. We'll have fun with the little Mac. I'm hungry. A little mock. And what do you think of my franchise quarterback?
I like that. I like a good pun.
Special.
I like a good pun. I like a good pun.
Franchise quarterback.
Absolutely.
All right. Sarnie, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's look forward to tomorrow. George, you do a great job on those player cards. I'm seeing a lot of graphics all around the social media, man. I think you're a little bit of an influencer. I don't know. I think you've done. We'll
say that the private. No, I appreciate everybody's loving the show, the support, man. It's we're keep it going. We're going to keep it going after the draft, but it's going to be fun. The 3 days live for the draft is going to be bananas, man.
Yeah,
we're going to have fun with you guys. You know what's cool? I hope all you guys are in the chat. And we're all talking about it together because we've been living through this experience. A little mock and cheese, George.
I like that, Garrett.
I like that, dude.
Well done, mock and cheese. I like it.
That's a show idea there, Garrett. Thanks so much, man.
Mock and cheese head for the Green Bay contingent, right?
Green Bay South. Well, all right, man. Let's get out of here. Thank you guys so much in the chat for joining us. Again, make sure you subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate. Comment after the video. Thanks to Armando Salguero for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So for Jason Sarnie, for myself, we'll see you tomorrow night. We are out.